Morning. Thank you to One to One for inviting us here to a very good event. I'll be talking today about Westhaven Ventures. I'm Gareth Thomas. I'm the CEO, President, CEO, and founder of Westhaven, and we're talking about a new and exciting discovery in British Columbia, Canada. Certainly, we'll be making some forward-looking statements today, so keep that in mind. I'm sure a lot of you aren't familiar with the Spence's Bridge Gold Belt. This is a relatively new unearthed belt in British Columbia, approximately 170 kilometers away from Vancouver, British Columbia. At the bottom right of the screen there, you can see an inset map there of BC, and I'll be getting into a more detailed map after this, but these are some of the main points. Westhaven owns 35,000 hectares, approximately 135 square miles. 100% owned on this belt. You see there in the red, those are our four projects there, and you'll see the dotted lines on the outside of the dotted lines around our red property. That, as the whole entire belt now has been staked 729 square miles by a group called Talisker, which were some of you might know from the Aurelian days, the discovery of the Fruta del Norte in Ecuador. So within those dotted lines, we have 2.5% NSR on anything that they discover. Then outside of that, we have a right of first refusal on anything on that. So essentially, we're involved in 86% of this 170 kilometer long new belt that's coming up. All our properties are road accessible, close to major highways. And one of the main points there is we own as management 38% of the shares outstanding. And you'll see below there some of their discoveries within the last year. This what vaulted us to be the top gainer on the TSX Venture Exchange last year. Our discovery hole was 17.7 meters of 24.5 grams and gold and 107.92 grams silver. And we followed that up by this year by drilling 12.66 meters of 39.31 grams per ton gold, which was our highest grade intercept to date. Company snapshot here, a little under 90 million shares outstanding. Today we're sitting at about a market cap of 55 million and with a working capital about 2.2 million. And as I mentioned there before, we were the top gainer on the TSX Stock Exchange last year. We were up 980% based on that discovery I mentioned there of the 17.7 meters of 24.5 grams and a first company to ever drill in this area. Once again, I mentioned 38% is owned by four of us directors, and then the rest of it's very close friends, so very aligned with shareholders. I'm not going to go through our whole management and directors, but our chairman, Grant Thomas, founder and past chairman of Aber Resources, which is now Dominion Diamond Corp., one of the richest diamond mines in the world. We have essentially over 150 years of experience on our board here. I will touch on the bottom there. Peter Fischel, our exploration manager, came from Kinross to us. He worked at Kupol for 15 years in Russia, which is one of the highest grade, low sulfidation epithermal mines in the world. And we were very fortunate to get him to join us. And he's sort of the one that more or less cracked the nut, if you will, on Shovel Nose, which I'll be talking about here. Once again, a look at the map here. We have the four properties, the Shovel Nose, Prospect Valley, Skunka, and Skunka North. And you'll see, if I had a pointer here, I would show you the Highland Valley. You can see on the map there. That's Canada's largest open pit mine, and it's the 15th largest open pit mine in the world. And you got the New Afton, you got Copper Mountain below, so a very good mining jurisdiction. A lot of people, but the big thing to note here is this whole entire belt in gray was completely overlooked until probably 2005 was the first drill hole ever in this entire belt, and now the whole entire belt's staked as our recent discovery. And we had a CA in place with a group, as I mentioned before, called Talisker. So we control or have a part of 86% of the 220,000 hectare belt. So lots of news coming out. Talisker's up there now. They have 22 geologists, boots on ground. So it's going to be a very exciting year. And we are starting up drilling in the next 7 to 10 days with 2 rigs, which I'll touch on here shortly. And obviously key, it's literally a 2.5-hour drive from Vancouver. A little bit closer look at the shovel nose. You'll see the Coquihalla Highway there off to the left of your screen. Literally goes right through our property. We're now focused in the south zone. So as I mentioned, 15,000 hectares, borders the Coquihalla, road accessible. But the majority of our property has been very underexplored, and that's what we're focusing on now. It's just a look for people who aren't familiar with the area. Heavily forested area as well, which is very good for us, good for permitting. And we didn't take all these trees down. Those were there when we came, so it's a very good thing in BC to have that access and infrastructure. And you'll see our discovery hole there, 1814. This is just a look at our south zone. So we discovered this less than a year ago. You see the 18 drilling. So we put 30 holes into this, and we think we're staring down 1 million ounces at about 10 grams. Obviously, like I said, making some forward-looking statements, that's inferred, but our goal here is to not find 1 million ounces. We want to find multi-million ounce deposits here. We think these things come in clusters. People are familiar with low sulfidation epithermals. We think this is going to be numerous south zones on the property. Just a brief cross-section here. You're seeing essentially some of our big intercepts there. As I mentioned, the 17.7 meters at 24.5 grams. We did a 50-meter undercut of that. We got 12.9 meters at 12 grams. Our stock went down 30% that day for whatever reason. I'm not sure. We've hit a second vein zone, as you see there below, where we hit 18.79 grams over 2 meters. So we're also focusing on that second zone now. Like I said, we think these things form in parallel structures, features. So we'll be concentrating on that as well. We flew our whole entire property, 75 meters spaced airborne, which is on the left of your screen there. And essentially, the key thing to note here is the blue or the lighter green. That's magnetic lows. For us, they're important because that's a sign of hydrothermal activity, which is the destruction of magnetite. So if you see there the cluster of drill holes to the most bottom, that's our south zone. So the red lines we have there indicated our mag lows, which are very important to us as we look for further. As I mentioned, we want to find multiple south zones, and this is where you get these lineaments that become very important features to us. So we have a crew of 10 up there right now. We've been working up there since May, working up there and trying to sort out more of these south zones. And on the right there is just a digital elevation model. That's more or less when you look on the margin of these rhyolite domes is what we're looking for. You want to be on the margins. That's kind of where we are. This was our best intercept, which was just drilled in March, 12.66 meters of 39.31 grams per ton gold and 133.11 grams per ton silver. Visible gold throughout the hole. Very exciting, as that it was hard to beat our original discovery hole, but we did that. And like I said, this is less than a year old, this discovery. So we're extremely excited to be back there, as I mentioned, in a week with 2 rigs following up on this. Little bit of arm waving here, but it's important to note. And these guys, Sumitomo, have been up to our property. You got Hishikari, which is one of the richest gold mines in the world, low sulfidation. You'll take a look at all their vein swarms, and this is what I meant by these things are often found in clusters or in swarms. And you'll see us there on the right. That's just our south zone, what we've drilled to date, less than a year old. That's what we're kind of comparing it to, and you see the difference, or you see the comparison there in rock, but they feel the same way as well. Running out of time here, just an investment checklist, large land package. Like I mentioned, we have 729 square miles that we own either 100% or a royalty or a ROFR on. District scale potential. We're drilling 20,000 meters this year, so there's going to be a lot of news flow this summer. Look forward to that. And as I mentioned, we own 38% between 3 or 4 people and lots of experienced management. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Thank you, Gareth. Great.